We have 4 things you must do before you start traveling full time. We're going to share that with you. Where are we?
We are in beautiful Sydney, Australia, enjoying the beautiful weather here. And, we get a lot of questions that are answered in the book that you wrote about enjoying full-time nomad travel. And it's great to share some of the things that we've already written and shared with you in some other videos.
Right. So if you caught our book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan, we actually talk about all the things you need to do before you start traveling. And we even share our story about what we did or didn't do, what we screwed up about, or what we did right before we launched for traveling. But this question keeps coming up. So we thought we'd summarize it here. We've done this. We've started a series called Your Nomad Adventure Starts Here. So we'll add this video to that so you can just play through that whole playlist of all the things we recommend that you do before starting. But we're simplifying it in this particular video. And we've got 4 things you absolutely must do before you leave. Are you ready?
Yeah. And to summarize, those 4 things will make your life a whole lot easier as you travel.
Right, exactly. So number 1 is you've got to get your address right. Like, what do we mean by that? Get your address right.
Well, in our situation, we sold our house and we sold everything. So we don't have a physical place to return to. Now, some people who do a lot of traveling and do a lot of even on a nomad life have a home base that they go back to that is their physical address that they use. In our case, we needed to come up with a new one.
Right. And really, this is the other way you say this is where you're getting your mail, right? How are you going to get your mail? Now, a lot of people will sign up for services like virtual mailbox or email box or whatever. And these services are good, but they are not going to be efficient for you if you are a full-time traveler. And let us explain why. So we have several friends that have been in this situation. This hasn't occurred to us because we did the following things to keep this from happening. So this is what happens. If you use a virtual mailbox, often your virtual mailbox address is different than your driver's license address, your voter registration address, your 1040 address, your insurance address, and so on. And where this ends up becoming a problem, it might be a problem with immigration, but it also ends up often being a problem with your banking. We're going to get into banking further in this video, but if your banking address, your voter registration address, your driver's license address, your 1040 aren't all the same, you could end up getting your bank accounts frozen, or you could end up with immigration problems and so on. Yeah. So it's not fun.
And so some of these things, we're not immigration experts, we are not tax experts, we're not insurance experts.
We are travel experts.
These are just tips for you. But if you think about it, in your physical address in your life before you start traveling, it's the same address that you use for your driver's license. It's the same address you use for your auto registration, right, your library card. Everything is on that same address. And that's really the key, is to pick an address. It might even be like a relative's house or something like that. But make sure that you go through the extra steps. And will take time to make sure that everything that you have is aligned up with that address, just to simplify your life.
Right.
That's your address.
So if you're using your friend's address, if your friend or your mom or whoever is going to send you your mail and keep your mail, also make sure your driver's license is that address, your voter registration, and so on. Because otherwise, if there's incongruency in your address, it will catch up with you, and it will catch up with you in a place that it's hard to fix it from.
Right. Now, we had some good advice, and we decided to use RV Escapees in Livingston, Texas as our permanent mailing address.
Right.
And it's also Livingston, Texas is where we went to get our voter registration, and where we went to get our driver's license. We did our auto registration there at the time when we had a car. We don't have one now. But
we got a library card there.
We did. Right. That's where we live.
Right.
And we also picked Texas because of tax implications. And again, we are not tax experts. Everybody's situation is different. But what's the good one that we...
RV Escapees. It is expensive. It's geared towards people who RV full-time and that have the same problems that we do, is they don't have an actual address because they sold their house. But the one thing that pays for itself over and over and over again, and besides the fact that they scan our mail, we get an email that says, you have new mail, we go and look at the scans, we tell them to either save it, send it, we get our credit cards there, they will tell us what the numbers on the credit cards are, so even though we don't physically have the card, we can use the credit cards. When we get to an address that we can send all that stuff, they ship it to us, including our credit cards and so on. But the one thing that is more valuable than anything else is the jury summons scenario.
Jury summons? Who gets summons for jury duty?
Since we moved to Texas, we're now going on our third year. Every one of us, my daughter's also at this address. Our youngest daughter's also at this address. We all have gotten summons 3 times for jury duty. Never gotten summons before ever, and now we get summoned every single year. And because we're at RV Escapees, the actual jury summons says, if you're blind, you're excused. If you're taking care of children, you're excused, whatever, all the excuses. And then if you're a member of RV Escapees, you are excused. This pays for itself over and over and over and over and over again. So RV Escapees doesn't pay us. They do have a referral program. If you go there, tell them we sent you. I think we get a special pin or something. We don't get any money off or whatever, but use us. We love them. Ask us questions about RV Escapees. It's escapees.com. We love them. They are more expensive than your virtual mailbox and so on. And if you are RVing, they have a lot of resources for RVers. We don't use any of that because we're not RVing. Okay, number 2, the second thing you must make sure you do before you head out is get your banking squared away. Why is this important?
Yeah, well, just kind of to summarize from the last thing is you want to make sure that your bank accounts also have this permanent address that is your address while you're traveling. But I don't know. I think that's the critical thing. Again, you don't want your banking address to be different than your driver's license and where your mail goes and all those kinds of things.
Right. We had a friend that they were in Thailand and they had a virtual mailbox, and all of a sudden Schwab, for whatever reason, decided that they needed to prove their residency in the United States, and the only thing they had was a cell phone bill or maybe
I don't even know what it was.
Anyway, the point was their driver's license didn't match up with their banking statement, and that caused a red flag. They ended up having their accounts frozen. So
yeah, but let's just talk about the simplification of traveling. And this is one of Chris's greatest tips is when you get off the airplane or whatever, when you arrive in a new city, the first thing you want to do is go to an ATM machine.
Right in the airport. Don't worry about the ATM fees or whatever. The one in the airport is the one you want to use.
Right. So you've got some local currency, and you don't have to worry about exchanging currency or whatever, and all those crazy things that can cause drama. You just go to the ATM machine, but you want your ATM card to not have any fees, because ATM fees can be pretty excessive.
Right.
So get a bank account, probably a checking account, that doesn't have any ATM withdrawal fees. It's a tip, but it's going to save you a lot of money, and it's going to save you a lot of anxiety.
And we use Schwab. We'll put a referral link for Schwab down below. Again, they don't pay us or whatever, but we just love Schwab. And their ATM is no refer. And again, we do want to point out that this is for U.S. citizens, American citizens. Sorry, all our fellow Canadians, Mexicans, and worldwide travelers. I'm sorry this doesn't help you, but the majority of the people who do watch us are American, so I apologize that this is an American-only tip. But anyway, get your banking squared away and make sure there is redundancy in your banking. Redundancy meaning have multiple banks that you have ATM cards for, have multiple banks you have credit card accounts for, have multiple banks that you have savings or brokerage or CDs or wherever your financial money is. Have multiple ways to access it so that when, not if, when your cards get lost, your cards go fraud, your cards go broken, whatever, you have another way to get money until you can get the fraud or the broken card fixed.
Yeah. And it's not just your ATM card, it's also a credit card. And we have multiple credit cards, but again, that's another thing. But just make sure you've got those backups, so that, when you go to use one ATM card, for some reason it doesn't work. And it's happened in a lot of different reasons. Either there's been a fraud alert, or we're just at a, I don't know, just the
his will work and mine won't, and same card, exactly. Whatever. Yeah.
Have a backup. So you have 2 ATMs, at least 2 credit cards. Again, the same thing's going to happen. And also 2 credit cards, one more little savings tip that have no foreign transaction fees.
Right.
This is a real key. Credit card with no foreign transaction fees. You're going to be traveling and you don't want to have to worry about paying. And it's so annoying. It's like 3% or 5% or whatever. All these little hits.
They add up.
We accidentally we've used the wrong credit card in different places. And you see it on your statement, you're like, oh my God.
17 cents, like what, 34 cents. It's ridiculous.
It really.
Anyway, our favorite travel card, and of course, credit cards also get into the whole conversation of travel card hacking and points and so on. We'll save that for another video, but our favorite travel card is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. I think it costs $95 a year, but all the benefits that you get for it and the points and so on and so forth are all totally worth it, and there's no transaction fees on that card. So we have several Chase products. We have several bank accounts. If you want referrals, ask us. We'll put some down in the description. Okay, number 3. So first was address, second is banking, third is get your phone figured out. How many times we've seen the question, what should I do with my phone? How should I use my phone? Where do I use my phone?
Our number 1 video is how to use your phone in every country. And that's our number 1 video. It's at least a year old and it still gets like
and it's still valid.
Views a day.
Yeah. It's still valid. But we'll summarize what that video says. You can watch it, of course. But so if you're on Verizon or AT&T or whatever, T-Mobile, we guarantee you, Google Fi, we guarantee you that either that service you'll not be able to use it because there's some time expiration or data expiration or there's some expiration on that program for international travel, or it's so expensive it just won't make sense. I mean, $10 a day to use Verizon internationally is ridiculous.
It's only $10 a day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Oh, you mean that's like $3,000 a year?
No, 300. No, 3,000. Yeah, $3,000 a year. No, you don't want to do that. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah. So the current program plan that you have in the States, which is going to cover your phone calls, your texting, and your data, is not going to work for you internationally. So you've got to come up with a different plan.
We'll probably get a lot of hate comments on this one because everybody loves their
Verizon or they love their whatever.
And we don't even agree on this one. We have different solutions for this. So for me, I'd like to get to the new country where I'm going and then get a SIM card and
a physical little metal piece that you put in the phone.
But we've evolved even in just a couple of years, evolved that to eSIM. So again, make sure before you leave the country that your phone has either a physical SIM or eSIM capability, so that you can do that.
So Steve likes SIMs. I like eSIMs. That's the difference. And so eSIMs, you don't have to have the physical card, and you can set up your phone prior to getting into the country. Watch our video about all of this, but there's 2 parts to this setting up your phone. Number 1 is get the SIM that works for you, and that's about your data. The second is get the phone number that works for you, and that's about the phone portion of your phone. When you're on Verizon or Sprint or whoever, you don't think about this because this is all kind of built into the same package. But as you travel, this becomes a real big issue. So for us, we maintain our U.S. phone numbers because people want to call us. They want to call us on a U.S. phone. They get freaked out if we give them a Vietnam phone number.
Our biggest question is about 2-factor authentication.
Right. The second is the 2-factor authentication, right?
Yeah, and that's really important. So you want to make sure that you're going to keep your U.S. phone number, and that you can't do if you just land in Cambodia and get a SIM card. It's going to be your Cambodian phone number now. So make sure you keep your U.S. phone number. How do you do that? How do you keep your U.S. phone number?
Right. So the solution that we came up with is to use Google Voice. There are other solutions. We haven't investigated those. Google Voice works best for us. We'll do another video about Google Voice on its own. But the important thing to know about Google Voice is you have to set it up in the U.S. Again, this is a solution just for American citizens or U.S. citizens that have U.S. phone numbers. You have to set up Google Voice in the U.S. If you have Google Voice that you previously set up in the U.S. and you're abroad, you can make changes while you're abroad, but you can't start Google Voice from abroad. Even if you have VPN on, it doesn't work. We'll explain VPN in just a second. You have to set Google Voice up in the United States. So set Google Voice up and figure out your eSIM SIM situation, which means your phone has to be unlocked and it has to be able to take SIMs or eSIMs. Most phones do that now. You'd have to have a pretty old phone not to have those facilities anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, next, right?
Right.
Okay, last thing is under the category of entertainment and social streaming or media streaming and Netflix and all that stuff. Make sure you know what your entertainment solution is. And the first part of that is you have to have a VPN. So VPN is a piece of software that you probably pay a subscription fee for, and it goes on your computer and on your phone, and it allows you to tell the internet where you are, if where you are is not where you want to be, or where you are is whatever.
Yeah,
so if you're in Spain, right? If you're in Spain and you want the computer or the phone to think you're in the US, you have to use a VPN service in order to do that.
Yeah.
So, and what's a VPN get you? Not only the location, but what else? Security and safety.
Yeah, exactly. It gives you the security and safety. And again, if you want to do some banking, the VPN is a great idea to be able to use. As Chris was talking about entertainment. And again, this is something that you could just Google VPNs, and there are so many choices. You can put in the comments if you want to get specific about, well, what VPN should I use? But I think I've looked at least a dozen of them they're not expensive, but it's going to save you a lot of money and a lot of anxiety.
Right.
Have that set up before you leave the country.
And we use CyberGhost. We have a referral link down below if you want to use CyberGhost. It costs us, I don't know, $100 for 2 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It's only a couple, maybe $10 a month or something.
Again, okay, so why is this, again, from an entertainment side? So you want to log into, watch your favorite Netflix show. Well, Netflix doesn't work in a lot of countries. So you want to...
Well, it works in a lot of countries, but not the American version of it. Right? Right? Yeah. So it works in a lot of countries, but maybe not the American version. Or
chances are your shows are not going to be available.
Right.
So,
or Hulu or Prime or whatever. So you need
exactly.
VPN in order to watch your shows that you're familiar with. Now you can make some of that easier by getting one of these streaming tools like a Chromecast or a Fire Stick, or there's several other products that are out there that product will then have a VPN on it, and it will also give you logins and new passwords to your shows on that particular product. Yeah. So, for example, we have a Fire Stick. When we get to a location, we just plug the Fire Stick into the television. Boom! It comes up. The VPN is included in that, and we automatically log into all of our shows. And we don't have to worry about, did we see that series or did we see that episode?
Exactly.
Or whatever,
yeah,
right?
Fire Stick is small, and it's been really convenient for us. Easy to plug in and easy to use as we're traveling around the world.
And we have a link down below. If you don't know what a Fire Stick is, you can follow the link for the Fire Stick. The entertainment solution is going to be different for different people. If you want to see a lot of live sports, or if you want to watch a lot of premium movies, maybe you want to have HBO, or maybe you want to have Sling for the sports or whatever. We find that the Fire Stick works great for us because it gets us into Netflix and Amazon Prime and whatever. That's all we need, pretty much. Every once in a while, you need a football game.
Yeah, and again, we're not talking about what subscriptions services that you need in order to watch the things that you want to need. We're just talking about how to make it easier for you using that VPN.
Right. So that's the 4 things: address, banking, phone, VPN, entertainment combination. We have lots of other things that we mention in the book, 2 Carry-Ons and a Plan. We have more videos in this playlist of your Nomad adventure starts here. Please ask us questions. We're working on version 2 of the book and answering more questions about what come up as we travel full time. Talk to you next week.
Peace.